All right, good morning. Going to be looking at getting back into the word studies. And this morning we're going to be looking at Abiathar. Let's just check the pronunciation of that word, that name rather. We're going to be talking about Abiathar. Let's check the pronunciation of that real quick. Um, but that is talking about father of abundance, is what that name means. Let's just make sure we've got the pronunciation here correct of this name. Abiathar. Abiathar. Okay, so I did not have the pronunciation of that correct. So we're going to be talking this morning about Abiathar for at least a few minutes. I got maybe about 20 minutes to go through this. And as I said, it means father of abundance. And so we're going to be looking at the different verses that talk about Abiathar as we're going through the A's here and word studies. I've actually found these word studies to be really interesting. There are there are verses that I'm reading about, things that I'm reading about or finding out about these different names or these different words as we're going through the word studies that I wouldn't have been finding otherwise, having not gone through, specifically looking at this actual word. I read Abiathar as I'm reading through the Bible, but I don't really stop and think anything about Abiathar. Um, Went through several videos talking about Aaron. I've always known that Aaron was Moses's brother, but there were some things as I went through, the actual name Aaron and where all it's found in the Bible that I found interesting. So anyway, getting on to Abiathar here, we're looking at him as a high priest called Ahimelech in 2 Samuel chapter 8, verse 17. 2 Samuel chapter 8, verse 17. You can follow along with me if you would like, because I'm doing it the old-fashioned way using a paper Bible. So it takes me a moment to get there. 2 Samuel chapter 8, verse 17 says, and I'm not going to look all of these names up for pronunciations. I'm just going to do the best I can with them for time. And Zadok, the son of Ahitub, and Ahimelech, the son of Abiathar, were priests, and Sariah was secretary. So right off the bat, we're told that Abiathar was a priest. First Chronicles chapter 24, verse 3. Look at that, turned right to it. Sometimes that happens. First Chronicles chapter 24, verse 3. And David with Zadok of the sons of Eleazar and Ahimelech of the sons of Ithamar divided them according to their offices for their ministry. So there it's calling Abiathar Ahimelech. So I don't know why there's two different names for him. Let's look up Ahimelech and see what it says here. Let's see if it refers back to him as Ahimelech, brother of a king. Okay, no, Abiathar apparently was his son, from what I can tell here. First Chronicles chapter 24, verse 3. So what did that say now? And David with Zadok of the sons of Eleazar and Ahimelech. Oh, okay. So it's saying the sons of Eleazar and Ahimelech. So that means they're talking about Abiathar here, because Abiathar was Ahimelech's son of the sons of Ithamar, divided them according to their offices for their ministry. And then drop down to verse 6 of the same chapter. And Shemaiah the son of Nethanel, the scribe from the Levites, recorded them in the presence of the king, the princes, Zadok the priest, Ahimelech the son of Abiathar, and the heads of the fathers' households of the priests and of the Levites, one father's household taken for Eleazar and one taken for Ithamar. Well, now this one says that Ahimelech is the son of Abiathar. Well, anyway, I'm not going to bog down in that. The bottom line is Abiathar is a priest. And then verse 31. These also cast lots just as their relatives, the sons of Aaron, in the presence of David the king, Zadok, Ahimelech, and the heads of the fathers' households of the priests and of the Levites, the head of the fathers' households, as well as those of his younger brother. All right. So the priests. So, and Abimelech. So those were verses where Abiathar is called Ahimelech, according to this anyway. And now we're going to look at a verse where he is called Abimelech. First Chronicles chapter 18, verse 16. And Zadok, the son of Ahitub, and Abimelech, the son of Abiathar, were priests, and Shabsha was secretary. See, I'm finding this confusing because I'm not seeing this as Abiathar being called these different names. I see this as Abiathar being related to these other names. Okay. And then we've got him called son of Ahimelech in 1 Samuel chapter 2, or 1 Samuel chapter 22, verse 20. Oh, I'm in 2 Samuel. Let's get into 1 Samuel. 1 Samuel chapter 22, verse 20. But one son of Ahimelech, the son of Ahitub, named Abiathar, escaped and fled after David. So that's telling us that Abiathar, I mean, the point is to point out that he is the son of Ahimelech. But the other thing that this verse is pointing out is that Abiathar escaped and fled after David. Now you're not really getting much of my face. I just don't have a good place to really put the camera that I have figured out so far. So I will continue to work on that and try to make that better so that you're kind of like looking up into my face instead of down at my hat. But that's just kind of what I've got for right now. And I've got it on auto zoom, which is like, putting you like right up in my face. And I need to probably look for an adjustment to shut that off because I don't really like it doing that. All right, now it talks about escapes to David from the vengeance of Saul, who slew the priests in the city of Nob. 1 Samuel chapter 22, which we're kind of already there. 1 Samuel chapter 22. Verses 20 through 23. Which we already read 20, but one son of Ahimelech, the son of Ahitub, named Abiathar, escaped and fled after David. And Abiathar told David that Saul had killed the priests of the Lord. Then David said to Abiathar, I knew on that day when Doeg the Edomite was there that he would surely tell Saul, I have brought about the death of every person in your father's household. Stay with me, do not be afraid, for he who seeks my life seeks your life, for you are safe with me. All right, so we see here that Abiathar is actually with David. Um, as David is, he has escaped. Apparently, the priests have been killed from what I'm seeing in these verses here. Apparently, the priests have been killed, and so Abiathar has escaped and found David and to tell him this news. Uh, and then we've also got to look at it with verse or chapter 6, verse 19. So let's back up in 1 Samuel chapter 6. 1 Samuel chapter 6. I'm not going to get all the way through Abiathar today. Chapter 6, verse 19. And he struck down some of the men of Beth Shemesh because they had looked into the ark of the Lord. He struck down of all the people 50,070 men, and the people mourned because the Lord had struck the people with a great slaughter. Okay, I'm not seeing the tie-in here with Abiathar on that verse. All right, so Abiathar consults the ephod for David. 1 Samuel chapter 22, verse 10. So pretty much staying in the same chapter here. Chapter 22 is about the priests being slain at Nob. We're looking at the end of that chapter where Abiathar apparently escapes from this slaying of the priests at Nob and finds David. So now we're looking at Abiathar consulting the ephod for David. 1 Samuel chapter 22, verse 10. And he inquired of the Lord for him, gave him provisions, and gave him the sword of Goliath the Philistine. Okay, we got to back up to verse 9 to understand what that was even talking about. In verse 9, it says, Then Doeg, the Edomite, who was standing by the servants of Saul, answered and said, I saw the son of Jesse coming to Nob, to Ahimelech, the son of Ahitub. So there it looks like he's being called Ahimelech. There's some confusion here on the names to me anyway. I'm kind of confused on all these different names that apparently Abiathar is being called. Maybe that was a cultural thing where you got called by your dad's name or something. I'm not sure. So again, this is Abiathar consulting the ephod for David. Also happened in chapter 23, verse 9 apparently talks about it. So let's see. Now David knew that Saul was plotting evil against him. So he said to Abiathar the priest, bring the ephod here. Let's see. Let's make sure I'm pronouncing ephod correctly. Ephod. 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 No, I am not pronouncing it correctly. It's ephod. So the verse that I just read, chapter 23, verse 9 of 1 Samuel, again says, Now David knew that Saul was plotting evil against him. So he said to Abiathar the priest, bring the ephod. Say that again. Ephod. Ephod. Bring the ephod here. I don't know what an ephod is, by the way. Let's look that up. Let's look that up for fun. What is an ephod? All right. An ephod is a ceremonial garment worn by the high priest in ancient Israel, made of fine linen and adorned with gold, blue, purple, and scarlet threads. It served both as a part of the priestly vestments and as a tool for oracular practices, often associated with the Urim and the Thummim. So there you have it. So there you have it, folks. That's what an ephod is. We know how to pronounce it, and now we know what it is. So see these word studies are very beneficial for finding neat information. Okay, that was chapter 23, verse 9, and now we're going to chapter 30, verse 7 of the same book. Chapter 30, verse 7. Then David said to Abiathar the priest, the son of Ahimelech, okay, right there, very plainly states that Abiathar is the son of Ahimelech. Let's check Ahimelech's name. Let's see if we're getting that one right. See if I spelled it correctly here. Um, for chapter 30, verse 7. Ahim. No, I didn't spell it right. Ahimelech. 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 Okay. I was close, but not quite there. So then David said to Abiathar the priest, the son of Ahimelech, please bring me the ephod. So Abiathar brought the ephod to David. Well, that's interesting. So he told him to do it twice. And why would you consult? That doesn't make sense to me. Why would you consult a garment, a priestly garment? Because this is saying that he consulted the ephod. But to me, it sounds like David's telling him to go get it. It's a priestly garment. So 23, let's look at this. 20, and then I'm probably going to be out of time. 23 verse 9. 23 verse 9 says, now David knew that Saul was plotting evil against him, so he said to Abiathar the priest, bring the ephod here. And then over in chapter 30, verse 7, it says, then David said to Abiathar the priest, the son of Ahimelech, please bring me the ephod. So Abiathar brought the ephod to David. So I guess he did it a couple of times. And look, I'm not going to have time to do this now, but it looks like the next thing we're going to look at is associate high priest with Zadok in the reign of David. And that's what we'll look at next time because unfortunately I'm out of time this morning. That's where on the next word study, as we look at Abiathar, continue to look at Abiathar. That's what we'll be looking at. We got a few verses to go through to learn more about Abiathar. Again, I'm not crazy about this zooming in and out. I'm going to have to probably figure out how to get that fixed because I don't know about you, but I find it kind of annoying, and maybe you do too. But yeah, so all right. It was only a few minutes, about 20 minutes worth, but hey, we learned a few things about Abiathar. Um, I didn't know Abiathar was a priest. I didn't know that Abiathar was with David. Because when you're just reading through the Bible, it just kind of like you just kind of glance over these bits and pieces of information. We learned what an ephod is, so that was neat. And anyway, it's time to go. It's time to go to work. So have a great day. Take care.